Big changes today. We have a completely new safety engineering view, for example, for projects like our autonomous truck, focused on idempotent actions that you can take within Saphira without replacing your current workflows. For example, you can see that a lot of the data here just syncs back to JAMA or whatever other requirements management system you have in place. And there are 4 particular activities and then a whole bunch more tools that you've heard of before that we now particularly want to focus on within Saphira. One is a whole workflow for writing and checking requirements. We're going to walk through how that works in just a minute. Our classic running of FMEAs and HARAs, generation of VMB plans, and then most importantly, the emerging case of building and exporting GSN safety cases based on a whole bunch of the data that you've built up in between. You can see these are sample data right now. That'll be full in the future, but there's a pipeline status based on everything you have fed us and linked in. There is a sense of where you left off in your given project and a bunch of the integrations and imports that we have. For example, attachment for architecture, connection with Git, standards packs, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so we're going to use a couple examples for this one. So let's get started really quickly here. Give me one sec and I'll be right back. So just to give you guys a sense, if you've watched any of our other demos, you've seen many demos around this project. It contains a bunch of information defining an ODD for an autonomous truck, some of the system architecture for example, collision avoidance and obstacle detection, and a whole bunch of the hazards and failure modes for that kind of system. So we're going to paste in a requirement that is really bad. This is a requirement that doesn't really tell us a whole lot. And we're going to go through the classification, encoding, linting, decomposition, tracing, and export workflow here. So we can click next, and this will take just a sec to classify the level at which this requirement is acting. So it says, okay, it's a system requirement. It's not a stakeholder requirement, not subsystem. So you can decide, hey, is that correct? Or am I writing at the wrong level? And in fact, I need to rewrite this to operate at a different level. Okay, so that's the first step. The next is that we're going to run all of the classical Incosi quality checks. Okay, you can see that this is pretty detailed. So it tells us our overall score is 3 out of 7. We have a warning on singularity as a criteria. We do pass the atomic criteria. We are not necessarily unambiguous, and we're definitely not testable, bounded, or measurable. And there is, in fact, a rewrite here that we can intake if we so desire. So likely what you should do if you want this synced back properly is copy this, paste it in here, and then we'll be good to go. But we're going to leave it as is and try to do this decomposition on our own. Let me pause for a sec while this runs. We'll be able to come back and see what this looks like a little bit later, but we're going to leave this decomposition be for now, and we're going to take a look at trace, linking, and finally export. Perfect. So there you go. You see some trace completeness. A bunch of these are present. So undetected obstacle, obstacle detection failure, minimum range detection test. So hazard, FMEA, test method, and GSN node, all of which can be linked back to this requirement, which is really good for building up our final safety case. Okay, and finally, this is all ready to go out to JAMA. You can download the CSV. You can download the GSN safety case integration. So as we saw, there were no actual new GSN nodes added. Let's take a look at what this actually was. That's all good. First time doing this. All right, there you go. So just these new requirements that were added, pretty solid. Okay, and generate GSN structure. You can see that there wasn't a whole lot there. It actually shows up in the console for now because we'll see this somewhere else. So it's an object right here, just like this. You have some assumptions, there's some evidence, you have some root goal, and ultimately you're going to see in just a minute us format this in a good format. Okay, so we can save those requirements, and that's going to get written out to our project. Okay, so next up, we're quickly going to look at the GSN builder. You can actually see that we generated a full GSN here. Let's actually go back to the beginning to see how this all came together. So let's go back to the wizard. So you can see a whole bunch of questions. We start out with 16, and then we conditionally flesh out in a whole bunch, like the name of the system, et cetera, et cetera. So let's pre-fill this really quickly just so that we have something running. And this way we should be able to see a fully fleshed out GSN. So you can do that same hacking if you would like. You can see name of the system, primary purpose, the ODD, et cetera, et cetera. Let's scroll all the way to the end after we filled everything out, confidence arguments, and we'll see the final generated GSN. So this one was already cached, so it was retrieved really quickly. You can see the root goals, the strategies, the solutions, and the best part is you can view all of this in a graph